Alright, what's going on everybody? Zombies here again, and today we're back with another Marvel Snap video. So in this one we are checking out our day 1 Theorycraft decks for Lady Deathstrike. Lady Deathstrike is the new card release of the week. She's dropping at Series 5, and she has a 5-cost 3 power that reads, on reveal, destroy each card here with less power than this. We can also see in the Spotlight caches for this week, we have MODOK and Stature, as well as variants for all of these cards. And as usual, we're going to have a link in the description to the article, so if you want to see any more information about the cards, the decks, all that stuff, or just grab an import code, definitely recommend checking out the article from Safety Blade, link in the description below. So Lady Deathstrike, is this card worth your caches or worth your tokens? No. I think the very simple answer is that this card is probably not worth it for the vast majority of players. I do think some people are going to find this card appealing, even though it doesn't seem to be very powerful, in my opinion. And some people are going to go for it. Maybe you're missing MODOK or Stature and you really want those cards too. So maybe this week will have an appeal to some portion of the player base. I think the majority of people are going to be skipping out on this one because the other cards coming later this month, like X-23 and Silver Samurai, seem to be both more powerful and appealing to the player base. Lady Deathstrike is a neat effect, and honestly, I would not be surprised if this card ended up getting buffed at some point. Fun fact, it was actually buffed from its old data mine. I believe it used to be a 6-4, now it's a 5-3. So they're very clearly trying to be careful with the power on this card, as they don't want to make it too strong, but I think in its current iteration, it's a bit too weak. I would highly recommend not spending tokens on this. If this was a Series 4, I think you could make an argument. If you really like the effect, it might be worth a gamble. But at Series 5, if you're using tokens, it's just way too high. And then for the caches, I think a lot of players already have MODOK or Stature, especially MODOK because he was a Season Pass card, and these cards have been out a while. So I think a lot of the players who did want to get their hands on them probably already have them, though I'm sure there are still people out there who do want them who don't have them yet. So maybe that makes it a little bit more appealing, but overall, I think this is going to be a week where most players are going to be better off passing. Taking a look at some of our day 1 Theorycraft decks here from Safety Blade, we're starting out with a Deadpool Destroy deck featuring a Dakin and, of course, Lady Deathstrike herself. Pretty neat list. Obviously, Forge has always had good synergy with Deadpool, but now he has another target that's also very useful here in Lady Deathstrike, so we can make her a 5 power, which is a lot more likely to clear out things we want to get rid of from the opponent's lanes, as 5 power is pretty reasonable. We also have the Absorbing Man include here, which can double up on some of our powerful destroy effects, could give us another Murmasa Shard from Dakin, or combo with Lady Deathstrike to use her to clear out a lane on turn 5, and then follow up with Absorbing Man clearing out another lane with even more power on turn 6, while still being able to follow up with our hopefully big Deadpool or our death. And then we also have a bit more of a streamlined destroy version, so we cut out the Deadpool and the Forge stuff, and we're just running a pretty core simple destroy list. However, we're making space for Lady Deathstrike for clearing out some lanes and hopefully boosting up our null and cheapening our death. Then we come to my favorite lists of the bunch, and that is the negative lists. So I think negative is going to likely be one of the better homes for Lady Deathstrike. Card becomes a lot more appealing when it is a 3-5 instead of a 5-3, as it turns out. We also have Forge here, which can be handy to boost her up if we don't get her flipped, or potentially powerful using him alongside Wong to get an even bigger boost. I've been pretty happy with the Jane Foster Mr. Negative deck as of late, and it just got a buff recently with Jane no longer being able to cost more than 6. So if you do end up in a situation where you can ramp her out, even if you draw her negative flipped, or if it's a game with Magic or Limbo that's going to turn 7, she's actually a useful card now and not a totally dead draw. But I've been pleasantly surprised with negative in the recent weeks, and I think if Lady Deathstrike does find a home, there's a decent chance Mr. Negative will be it. And then we have another negative list here. This is the one I personally prefer. We aren't trying to do as many cute things with Lady Deathstrike here. She's just a fairly solid inclusion, though we do have a way of boosting her up with Shuri. But this is also a really good combo deck, even if you don't draw negative, because we still have access to the powerful combo of Wong into Panther into Zola. You can also do it with Shuri too. Obviously, you're taking a little bit more of a risk there, as it is 50-50. but my favorite thing about this style of Mr. Negative is that you are a lot more resilient to the fact that you're not always going to draw Mr. Negative every game. Zola also can have a potentially fun interaction with Lady Deathstrike, especially if they're both negative flipped, and then you can use Zola to destroy her, put copies in other lanes, and blow up even more stuff, which can also juice our null, and both those cards will cost 0 if we happen to draw them post-negative, so you can really do some crazy things during the final turns of the game. Then we have an Electro Ramp Shell. This one, pretty standard stuff, Sandman Ramp, but we do make a few different changes to it here to support Lady Deathstrike better. As in a previous list, we do have Absorbing Man, who not only combos with some of our other good on-reveal cards like Black Panther, Zola, Leader, even Odin, but he is naturally going to be very good with Lady Deathstrike. We also have Odin, who can re-proc our Deathstrike potentially if we need to re-clear a lane later on in the game, and Zola always going to be a very strong card in this shell, not only because of the Black Panther combo, but we are also running Null in this version, so we're trying to profit a bit off of the fact that Lady Deathstrike will be destroying stuff, give some power to our Null, then we can play our Null and hopefully use Arnim Zola on it to put 2 copies of Null in another lane, which will get even bigger based on our Null's original power, or we could copy Lady Deathstrike to blow up more stuff and then make our Null even bigger. Then we have a list that I haven't seen in a long time but was an old favorite, and that is the Toxic Sentry list. So we're trying to give our opponent negative things such as the Hood, our Sentry's Void, Rocks, or Green Goblin, and then use Hazmat to reduce the power of their cards further, which we can also double up on with Absorbing Man. Lady Deathstrike is a cool addition to this list, as it does provide us a way of getting rid of some of the negative cards we might have on our side if we aren't able to donate to them to the opponent with Viper, while at the same time being able to clear out their own stuff. And again, we have that Absorbing Man combo where we can double up on her effect in a lane where we just want to remove everything under 5 power. We have our full-in combo deck. The idea with this one is we are trying to buff up Lady Deathstrike to the highest amount of power possible before we use Arnim Zola to copy her into 2 other lanes, hopefully clearing out as much of the opponent's stuff as is possible. To accomplish this, we have things like Shuri and Hulkbuster, as well as Forge and Ironheart to buff up our Lady Deathstrike's power as much as we can, and then we're hopefully going to be sending her to the other lanes to deal with all the opponent's pesky cards. We have Electro as a ramp source to help get out our higher cost cards earlier on in the game, as well as Absorbing Man as a potential copy effect, and some other cards that help protect our stuff like Echo to protect our Wong, and Dakin just as a generally decent fallback plan where we can make a big Dakin, and then we use Arnim Zola to send him to the other lanes. And then last but not least, we have a Thanos Destroy version. I do think if you want to go with the Destroy shell, there's a good chance that the Thanos version is the best of the bunch, as the stones are very versatile. They give us things that help us just have more fodder to destroy, so we get those bigger nulls. Also, the ramp stone is really powerful here alongside Wave to hopefully enable us to play a early Lady Deathstrike, Professor X, or one of our late game threats like Null, Thanos, or Death. The rest of our cards here help us destroy things so we can reduce the cost of our Death, increase the power of our Null with Carnage, Killmonger, Venom, and Shang-Chi. There we have it. That is going to wrap it up for our day 1 Lady Deathstrike decks. I'd love to hear what you think about this card in the comments below. Are you planning on picking her up, or are you just going to be going for the Spotlight cache in general for some of the other available cards, or are you more interested in one of the other upcoming weeks that we're going to be seeing in the near future? Let me know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed it, remember to like and subscribe, and stay tuned here at Marvel Snap Zone for all your Marvel Snap content. I'm Zombies, I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.